Hi, everybody. Tommy Clayton, an OpenSciEd teacher and writer, here to dig into Lesson 7 from Unit 8.1, which is our Contact Forces unit. The first time I taught this lesson, I think I went a little too far, got a little off track, and definitely made a little bit of a mess in the classroom. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks here so that you can avoid those things that I ran into. This lesson is really fun, though, and there is these really cool aha moments that the kids have. So I'm excited for you to see what comes next in this lesson. We are going to talk about how we got here. We're going to look at this lesson at a glance, look at some key moments, and give you some tips and tricks so that you can avoid some of the things that happened to me the first time I taught this lesson. So let's remind ourselves of how we got here. So in the last lesson, we figured out that we made a lot of progress on our driving question board. And we took an assessment and we figured out that we can actually apply a lot of our ideas about collisions and forces and energy to the game of soccer. In this lesson, we are starting to actually dig more into finding out about energy and how that relates to collisions. And so we're wondering in this lesson, does mass or speed have more of an effect on the kinetic energy that an object can have and the resulting damage it can do in a collision? And so we're interested in what happens if you double mass or if you double speed in terms of the amount of energy or the amount of damage that something can do in a collision. So let's take a look at this lesson at a glance. This is an investigation lesson. It is across 2 days. It's going to take you about 30 minutes to get the materials prepped. There is a hands-on investigation. Students are actually going to need a device in this lesson. There's a simulation that they're going to access. And there are no additional related videos for this lesson. Okay, so day one, we're going to navigate in. And we're using the questions from that assessment in lesson 6 to do some of that navigating. We're going to plan out an investigation to think about how we can alter some of the variables. We're going to actually carry out that investigation, seeing what happens when we double mass and we double speed. And then we're going to argue from evidence, did mass have more of an effect on kinetic energy? Did speed have more of an effect? And then we're going to shift to thinking about is there a way that we can actually quantify this by watching some videos. Then in day 2, we're going to come in and share some predictions. And then we're going to use a computer simulation to continue to collect some quantifiable data. We're going to take that data and graph it, and then we're going to analyze those results. We'll take about 15 minutes to put together an individual explanation, and then we're going to navigate out to think about where did all this energy come from? And where's it going? So here's the big things we figure out. Day 1, we figure out that doubling the speed causes more damage to crackers. Doubling the mass causes a cart to be able to push a box about twice as far. And doubling the speed causes a cart to push a box about 4 times as far. On day 2, we figure out that changes in mass are causing this linear change to energy. It's directly proportional. So if we double mass, we get double the energy. We figure out that changes in speed, though, are causing these non-linear changes. They're quadratic to the amount of energy that something has. So we see this really cool line on our graph that arcs upward. We also figure out that the more energy something has, the more that you need to push on it to change its motion or stop it. So let's look at some key moments in this lesson. So in the first part, we navigate in. In part 2, we plan an investigation. And in 3, we actually do this investigation. So the investigation is where we were going to launch the carts at some crackers that we have attached to no cards. And so we're going to need 3 crackers. We're going to have 3 different conditions. The first is where we're going to launch the cart as is. Then in the second one, we're going to make the cart twice as heavy, launch it at a new cracker. And then in the third one, we're going to take the original cart in terms of the mass, and we're going to launch it at twice the speed. And so we're going to smash the cart into 3 different crackers, and we're going to bring those in the next part to figure out which variable may have had more of an impact on the cracker itself. Students are going to use scales here to figure out the mass of the cart because they have to double it. And they're going to use a timer to figure out the original speed of the cart, and make sure that that speed is consistent in trial 1 and trial 2. And then in trial 3 or condition 3, they're going to need to double that speed. So meaning they're going to have to get that car to go down the track in half the time. We'll talk more about this setup. I'll give you some tips and tricks here for this one in a little bit. All right, so part 4, we come together and we share our crackers and we look across and we figure out that like it looks like speed, changing the speed had more of an effect on the crackers. Like we saw way more damage. And so we want to think about like, well, like how much more damage are we getting? Like when we double the mass, are we getting like double the energy? Are we getting triple? Like, could we actually quantify this? And so we introduced this video. And in the video, we are launching a cart into a cardboard box. You can see that there on the slide, that long, narrow box. And we're going to do the same 3 conditions, right? The cart by itself at a particular speed. Then we're going to double the mass, but make sure that the cart goes the same speed. And then we're going to double the speed with the original mass of the cart. And what we see is that the cart goes twice as far. It pushes the box twice as far when we double the mass. But when we double the speed, it pushes the box 4 times as far. Okay. So here's where I went wrong the first time. We are not calculating kinetic energy. We're not doing the formula, right? This is just at this point, it is quantitative, but we are just looking at like this general relationship that's happening here. And we're drawing out this idea that like, we need to push more to transfer more energy. So like the cart that's heavier, we had to push it more to get it going the same speed to push that box. Okay, so that was the end of day 1. In day 2, we come in, we make some predictions about this relationship, thinking about changes in mass and changes in speed. And we introduce this simulation. And this is where the kids are going to need a device to access the simulation. It's a pretty straightforward simulation. You can see a picture there. There's not a lot of variables to change other than mass and speed. And so kids are going to graph these on the handout. And what they're going to see is that the changes to mass were linear. Every increase in the mass equaled a proportional increase in that how far it could push the box. And remember, the pushing the box is how we are thinking about energy, right? So we're not actually calculating energy here. We're just thinking about how far it can push a box, which represents the amount of energy that is being transferred. And this was a spot that I struggled with. And so I want to help you make sure you make that clear to students that the distance the box moves represents the amount of energy that we are transferring. We're not actually calculating that energy. We also figure out that the changes to speed are quadratic, right? We don't necessarily use that, but we do see that really, really beautiful curve on the graph. And it sort of reminds us of something we saw in earlier lessons when we were graphing things like how much something deformed based on the force that was applied. Okay, so we come together, we talk about our results, and then in part 10, this is a nice formative moment for you to check in on where the kids are at. So it's a 2-page handout, and this is where they get to reflect on the investigations and consider how this helps them to predict damage, right? So thinking about like if something were to get damaged, like what might we look for or see, right? So like things going really fast might mean that there's a good chance something is going to experience forces that will get to that like breaking point or that elastic limit. Okay, so at the end of this lesson, we have this moment where we navigate to think about like, well, where is all of the energy coming from in our system? And then like, where's it go, right? Like we saw that the cart and the box stopped. Like, where did that actually go? So in the next lesson, we're going to start to track that energy and think about where it came from and where it goes. All right, so here's some tips and tricks for this lesson. And I learned a lot doing this a couple of times here. Okay, so first, the students get a procedure and it lists the amount of force that they're going to use in the trial. So they don't necessarily need to figure it out, but they do want to confirm it, okay? Because each setup can be a little bit different. But roughly speaking, condition 1 with the empty cart, you're going to use the spring scale as a launcher. So you're going to attach that to the track. And you're going to need about 5 newtons of force to launch it. The kids are going to use the timer. They're going to figure out what the speed is. Then they're going to need to double the mass of the cart. So, put whatever in the cart, paper clips, the washers, like whatever you need to do to get it to be double. But they're going to need more force here to get it to go to the same speed, right? We're keeping the speed the same in condition 1 and condition 2, but we're only changing the mass. And that's tricky for the kids because we have a lot of variables going on here. So help them to keep track of those. It should be around 7 newtons or so to get the cart to go the same speed when it's heavier. Then in condition 3, we take the empty cart and or the original mass of the cart, and we double the speed. Couple of ways you can get there. You can see in the picture that you could double the spring scales. So those are the 5 Newton spring scales. So you can use 2 of them to get to the 10 newtons. Students could also use the spring scales that are a little stiffer, the ones that go up to like 10 or 20 newtons. That could help too. It's about 10 newtons. You're going to want to practice this, confirm that that actually is the case. You also want the kids to practice the launch. They have to push back the cart and let go of it. And if they sort of like hang on to the cart for like an extra second, it can affect the launch. So have them practice that launch a couple times to get the cart to like launch cleanly from the spring scale. Here was something I learned. You definitely want to maybe put a piece of paper under the track or have some brooms, something, because that cracker is going to smash into pieces. There's going to be lots and lots of crumbs and things all over the place. If you put a piece of paper under the track, it makes it really easy for the kids to collect all of the crumbs. And that's actually important because we want to look at like the damage to the crackers. But definitely have some way to clean up those crumbs and help the kids keep track of them. We also want to avoid having any like guests in our classroom when we have crumbs out and about. You could try different crackers. You'll see a particular type of cracker in the picture there. There might be some other brand crackers that are a little more flaky or a little buttery, and those can work really well. So you may want to try a couple of different crackers in terms of the damage there. Okay. When the kids get into the simulation part, each time they're going to try increasing the mass, and they're going to graph that, and then they're going to try increasing the speed and graph that. So they're going to have 2 different lines going on, which might be new for students. For my students, this was something that they didn't have a lot of practice with. So you may want to spend a little bit of time there talking about how to graph 2 different lines with a key on one graph. The other big thing that you need to remind students here is each time we change a condition, you have to push setup on the simulation. If you just keep hitting go, it'll just run the same conditions over and over again. So when you change the mass, you have to hit setup. Each time, make sure that students are pushing setup after they've changed a variable. I found that proportional thinking is very tricky for kids, like thinking about if we double something or if we triple something or whatever the case may be. So you may want to think about like doing a whole group sort of chart and think about some of that proportional thinking. There are 2 different versions of the graph handout. I happen to actually like the alternate myself. It has the scale already filled in for students and the axes. But you can decide, if you want your kids to go through that exercise, that is totally your option. But just be aware there are 2 different handouts for the graphing. Okay. So no new words in this lesson, nothing to add to our word wall. We do have some new posters though. We do call back from lesson 2, that poster where we were talking about that energy transfer. You can call back to this poster when you're closing out this lesson to navigate, to think about that energy transfer and like where it's coming and where it goes. We do create 2 charts in this lesson. So in day 1, remember how I said we had a lot of variables to consider? Like we had to keep speed constant, but double mass, or keep mass constant, right? You're going to make an anchor chart to help kids keep track of those things so they can refer back to it when they're planning their investigation. And then on day 2, we're going to make these statements in an anchor chart about changes to mass and energy, right? So doubling mass gets us double the energy. It's like this proportional relationship, whereas doubling speed gets us like quadruple or like the square of that change, okay? All right, so that's going to do it for lesson 7. I wish you really good luck with this lesson. It's a really, really fun lesson. The kids really enjoy smashing the crackers, the simulation, and looking at those graphs, and some big aha moments about how speed really, really has a huge impact on the amount of energy, which results in huge peak forces and a high likelihood of damage. Okay, come back and join us for lesson 8, where we start to think about where all the energy in our systems is coming from and going. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.